Good evening. We are coming to you from the Egyptian Church of Christ Incorporated. This program is for one group of people and one group only, the children of God. You no longer have to wander off the straight path. For those who want to make a difference, for those that want to know the truth to so many unanswered questions, and for those who are tired of the devil taking control over everything in their lives and the lives of their children. This program is set up for those who want to bring God's kingdom to earth. According to the scriptures, Matthew 6:33, but seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness should be added to you. Therefore, we must take back control of our lives. We, as the Egyptian Church of Christ Incorporated, are reaching out to embrace all the children of God. As it states in Psalms 82:6, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. Next, you will be listening to our pastor, Reverend Dr. Malachi York L., in question and answer form.
God is not on our clock, okay? That's what most people do, though. They try to think in terms of what we see as a beginning and an ending, and then compare it to what God is. And we cannot even begin to conceive God in time the way we do. And the nearest we do is when Christ comes into the world and dwells amongst us for a period of time, and then he's being logged as a man in flesh, judged as a man in flesh, persecuted as a man in flesh, then gives up his life and then ascends. But you forget that the all-powerful Heavenly Father has arranged things in such a unique way that you didn't see that before Jesus Christ could give his life for humanity, John the Baptist gave his life for Christ. See, the way it's set up in the Bible, people don't see that. That's why we have what's called the parallel Johns in our gospel. John the beloved, which is John, son of Zebedee, Jesus called him his beloved. And Jesus gave his life for John. So you can't compare the boundaries of God with the minimum or the minuteness of humanity. And that's a big mistake almost all religions in the world make. They start trying to calculate God by man's thinking. You can't even begin to calculate God by your thinking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm using God because I'm speaking here in English. But if you try to just sit back and try to think God, anything you think wouldn't be big enough. If you think of how I would like to embrace God, right? Of course, you could have embraced God's Son, Christ, when he was here. But you couldn't embrace God. Christ could embrace God, but you couldn't. You know why? Because if one of God's attributes is love, then God would be love. He would be not the kind of love we know. He would be love in its fullness. And what would happen if somebody like you or I was to walk up and embrace love in its fullness? You would love yourself to death. The power of God's love would bust your heart. It's like a light bulb. It channels all this current down to this one switch. I can get shocked by that. But imagine if I met up with the reservoir of all the energy for all the lights in all the world and I touched it. So be careful when you say you're seeking light and seeking God. You don't have to seek God. God said, I blew my spirit into man, and man became a living soul. There's nowhere you go where God isn't. So don't seek God. You don't have to. Every tree, every bird, every person, every animal, everything is what? No, it's not God. God is. It's not God. It's not. The bird is not God. But there would not be a bird if it wasn't for. You don't have to seek God. People say you must fall on your face and pray 5 times a day. If you don't fall on your face and don't pray 5 times a day, will God still be here? Yes. If you intend to do it but can't do it because you can't bend your back, would God accept the blessing? Yes. So men have created the rituals that says turn this way and do it. No, turn that way and do it. Bend this way and do it. Bend that way and do it. It's like a let's put an added something to our potatoes. We put salt on it. We've added something to it. Say we enhanced it, but the essence of it will exist anyway. The beauty of it will exist anyway. Everybody here would like to see God, right? Again, I said, God is light. You can't even look at a solar eclipse without going blind. So imagine if you was in the presence of the beauty and the luster of God, what would happen to your little human sight? This is why God created angels. This is why He has saints. He has beings that He has raised above normal man and channels through them to you. But everybody here wants a personal relationship with God. Right? And before we let the show start, I just want to ask you, if you had the opportunity to have the personal relationship with God today, right now, right this very minute, are you ready for judgment?
No.
Nope. Is anybody here ready to meet God and be judged for not just your actions, but also your hidden intentions? The things that's going on in your mind, in your mind's eye, that you don't want us to know about? The high heels in your closet? Are you really ready to meet God? Huh? You are lucky that you're not dying now, aren't you?
Yes.
Think about what I'm saying. You talk about the mercy of God, the very fact that you're not dying right now and have to think of meeting God right now with what's going on in your heart and soul right now. I was a young man too. I know you young guys are saying, hey boy, a lot of girls out here in Xavier's Day. You know, you supposed to be coming to a religious ceremony like, hey, you making the mother odds, you going to say, tell me your soul is ready. Tell me you think your soul is ready to meet God for judgment right now. Come on, there's got to be one nut in this room right now. There's always one who's going to say, I think I can. See, there's a couple out there. Look. You think if you met God right, stand up. This is cute. You think if you met God right now, everything in your soul is that pure? Don't sit down that way. It is a blessing that God allows you to live long enough to correct yourself, to right some of the wrongs, to get on the ball, so to speak. What about the unprepared accident? You know what I'm saying? What about the unexpected incident? Now I ask you another question. How many people do believe, accept that there is a judgment day? How many people don't believe in judgment day? You got to explain that now. How many people? Wait, some people didn't put their hands up. How many people know they're here? So some people didn't even put their hand up. Let's start again. How many people believe that one day they're going to die? Very good. How many people believe that there is a force that controls the universe by whichever name you call on? How many people believe that one day they might have to meet that force? How many people are ready to meet the force right now? She's probably right, but she's not a sinner like us yet. So what are you doing? Y'all are ready to meet God right now? Huh? Wait, I really have some fun. I won't have no fun with it. If you was to meet God right now, and God asked you why the alterations, what would you say? What alterations? The jewelry. Okay, good. Why the decorations? Wasn't you satisfied? I'm not finished yet, then you can have it. I'm not finished yet. Weren't you satisfied with the way I created you? So why did you have to
accentuate the beauty that you've given me, God?
Oh, so you think you can add to God's beauty?
No, just accentuate this.
You think you can accentuate God's work?
No, just for me to look at.
Oh, so you did it for yourself. And you dressed up for yourself.
I beg your pardon?
You why? Beg your pardon means you want me to leave.
No, I don't want
listen to it. Listen to the word I beg your pardon, and you see it.
Okay,
You want me to leave.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
So
repeat what you said.
No, you was talking, but okay. I'll go right to the beginning. Are you really think that you could stand judgment day to day?
Yes, sir.
Alright, I'll give it to you. You know, praise God. I wish you
Okay.
And what were you gonna ask me?
But God just is. I mean,
Right.
it's not like.
You know when we do that, God just is. Go ahead.
I mean, it's just there's no destination per se.
Right,
I mean,
but
we're here.
Is there emotion?
Well, yeah.
Is there a concern?
There is a concern, but when you come to a certain realization, if you want to use that term, but the force that you spoke of, it just is. There's
Okay.
nowhere. I mean,
Let me do this because that's very touching. When you call God a force, the very word in itself implies motion, to and fro. You follow?
Right.
That's what I was trying to say earlier.
okay. Well, then God is just a stillness. Then it's just here. I mean, there's no.
But it's not there.
It's everywhere.
That's what I was trying to save us the burden of trying to explain it. Because when people try to explain God, that's where they make a mistake. Because you can only use things that you know. Like they say God's up in heaven, and we do this. But God is not only in heaven. Right? You understand? It's very difficult. And when we reach the level when we stop trying to explain God and deal with the intermediaries, let me make it clear to y'all. How many people believe that Christ is going to come? Whether he's called Hamashiach, El-Messiah, or Maitreya, or whatever name. How many people believe it? Alright. What are you doing to prepare yourself for his coming? Hands went down. Come on, put them back up. How many people are trying to prepare themselves for the coming of Christ? What are you doing that's Christ-like for that preparation? Or are we sitting back waiting and then going to try to make a deal with him? Try to explain ourselves to God. Well, let me tell you, God, I was really trying to get myself together. Christ is definitely coming. When you say how, Matthew 24 gives you the answer. Right? When you say how, Revelations, now, I'm explaining to you, when you read the Bible in Matthew, it tells you about the birth of Jesus as Emmanuel. Then when you get to the end of the book of prophetic writings, called the Apocrypha, called the book of Revelations, then we go to Revelations chapter 12, and we get another story. And it talks about a woman, and she's standing in a crescent. And she has 12 stars as crowns upon her head, which is symbolic of the 12 tribes. And she's pregnant and waiting to give birth. This is Revelation chapter 12. Read it. The whole chapter. And it says that the dragon, they call him the dragon, the serpent, that old devil. They give him Lucifer. They give all his names there. They say he's waiting for her to give birth so he can devour the child. You understand? But when our Lord and Savior was born, there was no dragon in the manger waiting to devour the child. There was no devil. There was 3 wise men that God sent to follow the star through the sky to tell Mary and Joseph to be aware of Herod and to go into Egypt and there wait until Herod passes, correct? So there's 2 stories taking place here. You understand? One of them was Jesus of 2,000 years ago. And the book of Revelations, the one of 2,000 years ago, is the one we've read about all our lives. The one in the book of Revelations is talking about I could say it's called the Apocrypha, a book of prophecy, talking about the one that the Muslims call Isa el-Messiah, that the Hebrews call Yeshua HaMashiach, and what the Bible calls Jesus Christus, or Jesus the Christ. You follow? This one is yet to come. And they say that the woman will be impregnated and the devil is waiting for her to give birth so he can consume that divine child. This is in the book of Revelation, but not before they warned us in Psalms chapter 2. It said the heathens in them take counsel against the Lord and his anointed. And the word there, anointed, in Hebrew is Mashiach, the word Messiah. Psalms 2, remember it. It says they have taken counsel. They have gotten together and sat down and they're plotting against the birth of the Messiah. That didn't happen 2,000 years ago. Nobody was plotting against the birth of Jesus then. You hear me? But now we have a prophecy in the book of Revelation that speaks about a woman pregnant and a dragon, symbolically of Satan, that old devil waiting to kill the baby. You hear me? That's in the book. That's not Jesus 2,000 years ago. But every Muslim, every Christian, every Jew, and every Buddha believe in the coming of either Maitreya, El-Messiah, a-Mashiach, or Christos. And don't know that it's around the corner. And let me add something else. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yep. People are waiting for Christ to save them. Right? But where is the heavenly host that must be prepared on earth? Because Gabriel has prepared a host in heaven. But it tells you in Revelations that Michael prepares an earthly army. And that earthly army must be prepared to protect Christ when he comes into this world. Everybody's sitting around with their hands up, waiting to be saved. You know what I'm saying? Praying to be saved now. Save me, Jesus. But who is preparing to protect Christ from the Antichrist? Where is the earthly army? Where's those men and those women? And I'm going to tell you, those people who belong to that council who got together against Christ, they got the kind of money where they put out movies to educate theirs. That's what the whole Damien series was about. And they had another movie recently with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was it? End of Days, where the 2 groups of Knights of Templar, one positive and one negative, was trying to, one, protect this woman. Her name happened to be what?
Mary.
Her name was York. What a coincidence. And her mother's name was Mary. What a coincidence. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was trying to protect her from the devil, and he found out later some of the police officers and some of the high officials were all on the devil's side, and his best friend had been won over by the devil. That's how tight it is. That's how dangerous it is. When you're talking to a person, because of the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verse 15, which we have been jumping over, you don't know whether you're talking to a devil. Because it says in there that every time a woman will give birth to a seed, the devil is going to give birth to a seed. And they're going to have a war where he tries to cling onto her heel. That means every step we take through life, when the hospital's being born, one human child and one devil child is being born. Both look like humans. They don't have nothing to do with no race. All you people that got a inferiority complex. The devil ain't got no race. He's a force, like that sister said, a power that is in the world trying to prevent the return of Christ. You know why? Because Christ came to reprove or to remove what? 2,000 years ago he was here and they disrupted his job and we're still in sin. Right? But he came in the world to remove the sin. So he didn't do his job. So in St. John, what did he say? It is better for you that I go. Because if I don't go, the Comforter cannot come. When he comes, he shall not speak of himself. Only that which he hears shall he speak, and he shall glorify my holy name. So another being was supposed to come after him. Not me. I ain't tripping. Oh, no, I ain't tripping. You're going to make me trip. That person's supposed to come to prepare the way. You follow that? And then we have to set up. In other words, we have to set up an army for Christ. That sounds crazy. That sounds cultish. That sounds, they're going to be a military. That's not what I'm saying. It got nothing to do with the military. You got to do with people who realize that there's people calling themselves human beings, look like human beings, work with us every day, eat with us, serve us our food, hostess us on the planes, lead the prayer in the church, and they are devil's children. It says in Revelation, Michael and his host, and Satan and his host. But you know what it says in Revelation 12? Satan's host was cast out of heaven down to and there was found no place at all for them in heaven anymore. So where are they at? Yeah. That's right. And when they got to that same devil who was cast out in the beginning, right? Yet, in Job, when they get ready to go back to heaven before God, the devil is with them. You can't get back in heaven. So God asks him, right up in Job, ask the devil, where have you been? And the devil answered, walking up and down on the earth and to and fro. You want to see what that looks like? Huh? You want to see me walk up and down the earth and to and fro? Yes. Walking up and down the earth and to and fro. Walking up and down and to and fro. He's been spreading his religious philosophy, which we're thinking is Christianity, and it's Antichrist. Because it's not preparing us to save Christ, it's preparing us to want to be saved by Christ and doing nothing. But sitting down, that's why I asked earlier, who here is ready to be judged right now? None of us, honestly. Of course you'll find one nut that says, I don't bless us. They always gonna be there. But who's ready to be judged now if God was here right now? And who's here that if Christ is going to be... If we found that this woman amongst us, if we found that she was impregnated by that holy child, what will we men do? Are we willing to stop and hold hands and put a barrier around her and women and say, we're going to, until that baby's born, we're going to stand there, we're not going to eat, we're not going to sleep, we ain't going nowhere until that Christ child is born? Are we willing? Can we break away? No. You know why? Because they got a chain on our ankle saying, I got to go to work, I got to do this, I don't have the time for that. And I'm leading into something. Why they don't like this organization? Because I'm teaching people how to be independent and control their own time. So they say, no, he tells people to stop going to school. That's not what I tell people. I want you in the schools. You know why I want you in the schools? Because I want you to be there to see where Satan's children are too. Once they're there, I'm going to show you a very simple way how Satan's children work. A loud noise bangs up there. Everybody stands up. Something starts to move. We get ready to run, and she falls. And 39 people fall over her and die. That was her job. That's her job. Her job is to get it at the end of the basketball game. Her job is to be the one to throw the first whatever onto the floor, which starts the riot that causes so many innocent people to lose their lives. That's their job. Now, we don't want to see that. If I told you Michael Jackson was one of the devil's children because of the time span he wasted in our life and involved us in his idiocy, regardless of, I don't care about if he made himself purple or green. That's not the point. Think of how much time of our lives we were sitting around going Billie Jean with him. How his job was barely to steal a portion of time. And he became my idol, let's say. Just for that period of time, I no longer worship God. I was, in a subtle way, worshiping. That's why the word idol and idol is so close. Phonetically, they can be tricky. One is idolatry, right? An idol worshiper. And the other is a person like Michael Jordan. If anybody here plays basketball, he became mine. If I was a golfer, Tiger Woods would be mine. But I won't say I'm worshiping him. Though I'll be at every one of his games, which will be his church service. And I'll be cheering him on, which will be, I'll be one of his choir singers. And every time he gets that basket, I go, yes! I got the Holy Ghost. Your father has pictures of him on my wall. Right? I'll follow him. They say, it's going to be in Louisiana. Get a whole bunch of guys, some beer, some cars. Tell our wives, we don't care what y'all think. We're going to the game. We'll deal with it when we get back. That's a religion. That's how subtle and that's how busy the devil is now. Because all the signs of the coming of Christ are right in front of us. All the signs, pestilence, diseases, earthquake. While we're talking right now in Peru, there's an earthquake. I know Houston, Texas didn't realize that God was mad at them for killing that boy. But the day he died, the following day, Houston was hit with the biggest flood it ever had. Now why all of a sudden, because if this was biblical time, and a town was isolated, and they killed a man who said, I did not kill anybody. I'm taking revenge for what y'all did to them kids in David Kuwait's town. Because like I said, we don't know what David Kuwait really did to warrant that kind of murder. Having some guns in your house in Texas, everybody has guns in Texas. If you want to find out what the bad guys are, go get them militia. They got tanks. There's some people with some guns out here. But David Kuwait, he had a God complex, you see. They knew if they told us that he thought he was Jesus, that would get our attention. And we don't like that. And that made it okay to kill him. But what about all the kids that died? How do they justify the kids? Oh, it was an accident. There's no such thing as an accident with the sophistication that we live in right now where they can listen through a brick wall. It didn't have to go that way. So this man says, I retaliated on the same day that you did that, and I blew up one of your buildings with your children in it. Isn't that hate breeds? You taught it. Isn't that what's called an eye for an eye and tooth? Isn't that what goes into all the stuff you teach us? And now they put that man to death. And then Houston, Texas is flooded out and thousands of people die. All of a sudden, they don't see that maybe the spirit of I can't remember the good name. That's McVeigh. You know what bothers me the most? That people wanted to tell about us. That's how we knew the world was in a bad state. When people, if someone killed my children, if I was sick enough to want them dead, I wouldn't be sick enough to want to watch them happen. Because I'd be as sick as a serial killer. Only a serial killer takes pride in watching someone die. That's what they teach. They teach serial killers the people who take pride in watching people die. Is that what they teach? So we're in a time where nation is against nation. Kingdoms are against kingdoms. There's pestilence. Houston got hit by millions of mosquitoes. So check the news, don't believe me, check it out. Not only did they have a flood, but now after the flood, there's millions of mosquitoes and they're petrified that there's going to be a virus. Why isn't it God all of a sudden? Why isn't that a curse on God? It was Egypt that they called it plagues. We live in that day and time now where all the signs are laid out for us. The writing that it says on the wall. It's the time of return of the Messiah. You know what's going to be so sad? Your best friend could be available. Your girlfriend. your sister, your boss, turn on you just like that. When you start saying, you know what? And you think you got confidence in them. There's a friend of mine that goes back a long way here. So I say to him, you know what? I'm thinking he feels the way I feel about it. I'm thinking, really? How do you know that? You know, can't you see the signs? Explain it to me. When do you think he's going to come at? Why hasn't he revealed it to yourself? Why hasn't he revealed it to yourself? And my best friend, I'm not trying to turn friends against friends. I'm telling you, Judas was Jesus' friend. He was breaking bread with him, hanging out with him. All the while inside, he was planning on setting him up. And what makes you think that your lover or your best friend should be doing the same thing? Hanging with you for the same reason? Because, like I said earlier, the signs say it's time. Everything points to this hour. A lot of people don't know that the original Shriners were created for the sole purpose of protecting Christ when he comes. And to move his family, move them all the way out of Jerusalem when the people sought to kill them. Why there was no crucifixion. And yet, no man can take God. Are you with me? So there is no army of Christ. There's no one prepared. We're sitting here waiting for the child to be born. The Bible gives us a full description of where, what to expect. But what are we doing? Are we preparing? Huh? You saw those guys on the road in the red marching? You said, that's kind of cute. That's nice little costume. Beneath the costume, there's a brotherhood forming that's saying, we all accept that Christ is near. And that we are willing to hold hands and put a circle around that woman with her. And God's what it takes to protect him so he can get how we refer to as a smooth transition into this world to remove the sin. And you'll watch people you love disappear. But they're the ones who introduce you to the sin. The friend that comes to your room and says, I got some marijuana, we go to the party. You had no intention of smoking marijuana. I went down there and got some marijuana. We're going to have some fun and get high tonight. I said, no, I don't smoke marijuana. Oh, you scared. I was going to say, oh, man, you just a cop. You don't have no fun. For long, you sitting there smoking marijuana. And you don't realize that was the devil. Next time, you out there buying your own marijuana and you're introducing it to the next innocent kid in the next room. And what do you become? The devil's help. That's the day and time we came. That's why we had to strive to get past the year 2000. I'm going to shut up for a quick second. I want you to hear something. Right? Listen. Hear that? What do you hear? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It ain't nothing about you and me. It's about that. That's when you make the mistake. Because that's worth dying for. You understand? I don't want any more of my children shot to death just because somebody is angry at someone else. You follow that? I don't want it. We have to prepare places for them. That's why they didn't want us to set up again. Why they don't need 476 acres? How you going to ask me why I need 476 acres? You know, how you going to ask me what my needs? I need 476 acres because I plan to build houses and schools and hospitals. I plan to have a place that's safe for us because you can't control what's going on out there. There's now out there. There's now what's all out there. When you get into your house, right, there's what's called out there. When you step out there, anything can happen. From a hijacking to a drive-by. And now you're telling me, send my kid out there. And I say, fine. Are you going to protect my kid? Well, I can't guarantee it. You doggone right you can. I'm watching television and watching kids stand up because of stuff you're teaching them and spraying kids in school. And then you just have to call the parent on the phone and tell them, sorry, but your 5-year-old son just got shot. Because some kid went crazy because he watched some video game. And I'm supposed to say, okay. I understand that's the system, that's the situation. I understand. That's what I'm supposed to say. Is that how you really feel? No. You know why? It hasn't knocked on your door yet, so you don't care yet. Anybody has a relative with cancer? Once you love that person, once you found out they had cancer, then you started studying what cancer was. You started learning cancer. Before that, it didn't knock on your door, so you heard about it. It just wasn't as important. You know what I'm saying? Anybody had their car jacked? Well, y'all must be carjackers then. I'm trying to say, we are always waiting until it knocks on our door, and then we start studying. I'm saying we better start preparing now for what's going on. And that's why they say, nah, we don't need this. We don't want y'all to have your own thing. You can't think for yourself. You're caught. You're going to commit suicide. You idiot. Every month they got something new on the internet about us. And they ran. We were criminals. We was a RICO. We were everything. And we stood here and we stood against them day in and day out and fought them in court and used the system until now they're back there. Now they're fighting each other. Ain't that right? They're not finished. Because they see the plan. Because while you sit here, there's people driving by now from that town that hates us a whole lot of money. They know if all you people move to that town, we can vote anybody in office we want. They know that. Yeah, but no, they can keep each one of us in our own individual world, never moving as a block, so we're non-effective. How are we going to have a place where we can prepare for the secrecy of Christ's birth if we don't have a secret chamber meeting? We can't keep our big mouths shut. You understand what I'm saying? Do you ever think of that? I just want to leave you with that thought. I'm going to start. If Christ is coming, somebody better be prepared to protect them against that dragon in Revelation, but it doesn't say he's protected there. So that dragon is waiting for the woman to give birth to devour the child. That's what it says. Go back and read it. Go to Psalms 2. Go to Ephesians. Principalities in high places. There's people plotting. They're government officials, not just government officials, but hobos on the street. They're brotherhood. They're all tied in. That sounds paranoid like heck. I said, you walk out there, I see a hobo. Oh, that lady got black fingernails. You can go out your doggone mind. Actually, it's not to be taken to that extreme. It's to arouse a certain amount of consciousness in you. That everybody that looks like they may be John could be Judas. Because Judas and John were all hanging out with Jesus at the same time. One way, one the other. How many people have been betrayed by a best friend or lover? There's a whole lot of it going on in this world now. Is that real? Yeah. I ain't gonna hold it for that show. All right.